Hiya, back again. It's been a while, not a lot of progress, well, lots of different little things going on, so I'll show you what I'm at. Well, firstly, behind all this crap, I moved all my shelving, chopped it up and made it smaller. I didn't like the way the workshop was working. That's now, well, it always was on wheels. That's on wheels so I can get to the ones behind it, but it gives me more space to actually work and get at my workbench. So where we're at the moment, Swingarm, that was just rigged up very basically, so it needs sorting out, and I've just started. But I hit a problem. Much as I've got better with the welder, I couldn't see what was going on. And if you look at this weld here, it's awful. It's really lumpy. I've got the penetration okay, but I couldn't see with my welding helmet. All I could see was the glow from the actual weld. I couldn't see the surround, so I couldn't see how much to travel, so I end up with these big lumpy horrible bits that I have to then grind off. I mean, that bit I just resorted to like ginormous spot welds to get it in, because I was worried it had to be solid, but you just build up too much because you can't see what you're doing. So I've invested nice modern day helmet with a control on the side, and I tried it today. I've only bought it today. I got a bit of old tat and I just welded two pieces of steel together. I didn't bother with the settings or anything, and as you can see, it was on too high, but I got my travel to that point, and as soon as I started angling it over, I burnt through. But that's not a problem. That means I'm actually seeing what I'm doing, so I'm pleased with that. If I can weld to the level of that first ½ inch, that's good enough for me. That'll do. It'll stop me having to bugger about with all this over weld where I'm holding it too long because I can't actually see whether it's where the puddle is going. You get like a pool when you're welding, and you need to follow. You don't want the pool too high, but you want the penetration. And if all you're seeing is the actual build up, if you travel too fast, you're not aware you're travelling too fast, and I tend to travel too slow and I get this massive lumpy bumpy garbage. That's actually two separate pieces of steel with a V-groove in it, and I've just overdone it. But the weld's good, but it's just a lot of grinding. It costs you a fortune in discs. Anyway, so now that I've got a decent helmet and I can see what I'm doing, I'm quite happy with that, because my welding will definitely improve hugely. Turn this thing over. That's the chunk I was welding in. Now unfortunately it was very rusty and was delaminated, and that's off the original bike, and it's not as strong as it should be, as if it was new. I mean, obviously they build in a lot of redundancy, but hey, that's the way it goes. So what I've done at the front, see this? It's actually a chunk of this stuff, which are stair rods, than what I used in my house. But it's just mild steel. So you grind off all the coating, and I inset a piece under there, and it's welded through the top and through the front, and it needs cleaning up and a bit filling weld to make it smart, but that is rock solid. And what I'm going to do is cut another chunk of this out, and it will sit under there and be welded in, but a little bit back. Same on the other side. And then the bit that I've just been working on yesterday and today, these. Now this is, how do I show this? So one side of a swing arm that was that big, slice down the middle. Yes, obviously the shapes sort of match where they've ground it away and the cutouts on that side, because I think I've said it before, but this from here to here is that's not strong enough. It's going to flex. It was never designed for the shock to be here. It was designed for the shock to be on these pins here. So that from there to there has to be stronger. This bit is less important because that's only bracing it off. So the stress for that goes that way, whereas the stress for this comes this way. So when you stick these on, am I the right side? There it goes. Get my centre lines on. Now obviously they're not finished, but they touch all the way around, ready for welding on. This bit is going to be cut and angled down just to finish it off, so that it'll angle from that point that you can see there onto the main shaft here. This bit's right, that's where it's meant to be, butted onto this huge piece. This bit, big V cut in there, now fold that in so that this effectively runs straight, and if you look down, it's dead central from there to there. This one's a bit more awkward because it tends to fall over because there's a gap here which I need to weld a plate on to stick underneath, but I've got a good joint here, good here. This bit, this doesn't follow the profile of the tyre. What I'm going to do is grind it all back and stick a plate from that all the way down to this tube, down here, and the same thing on that side. I had no choice but to use what I had, but it all fits right. And when you stick a flat edge on it, when that one's tucked in the way it's supposed to be, yeah, it's dead true and square. When you measure all the points from the centre holes of these, which are the original mounts, to the back of this, it's all square. It all measures out right, so I'm pretty pleased with that. And that, when it's effectively triple wall, and this obviously this is upside down, so this is what's underneath, I'll get chain clearance because it comes along this angle, so that drops down. Doesn't matter here because it's the big cog at the back. It'll all be folded in to touch here and close this gap. So I think, and obviously that was the original hole, and I'll fill that, and then drill a stress relief hole in the side on both sides, because you've always got to have that. I don't quite understand why. It's like that one there. You see the little hole? The only other thing I've got to do, I've got to build up that section there, which I'm using a piece of pipe cut in half to give me that shape, but I need all this fixed first, and then a plate coming down here to strengthen this, just because I'm not sure, so I will strengthen it. It doesn't have to be huge. Plate there, half round there, all welded up. It's going to make this thing very heavy, but that's not a concern for me. It's not a racing bike, so it don't matter. It's just that one keeps falling over because there's nothing underneath at the moment. So that's where I'm at. It just takes, I took how long? 10 hours last night and 3 hours tonight after work just to get that and 4 cutting discs to get to this point, but it's gonna work. It's gonna work fine, and then I'll move on to the main frame over there and start putting in my triangulations. So this will have the union piece, which I've got, because it will have a removable rear triangulation that goes here for the passenger seat. Not that it'll hardly ever be used, but I can't have a bike without being able to take my better half with me. And I've got to build the seat, and I think everything else I've told you about. So that's where I'm at. Probably another week's worth of work just to get these pieces all to fit the way they're supposed to do, get it all cleaned up, get all the paint off it, and then get it nicely welded, which I'm so pleased with. That helmet up there. I've got the dial all the way down so I can see what I'm doing, because with that helmet I had, it was what, 12 years old, and the original ones didn't have that control, and when they switched on, you just blacked out the world apart from the arc, but you couldn't see what the arc was doing because you couldn't see the surrounding area, which was useless. So I'll do another one in a bit. I'm away this weekend, I'm away next weekend, I was away last weekend, so it might be a few weeks before I do an update, because it gets boring if I just do the same thing a little bit and a little bit. So I'll show you that lot finished. Anyway, peace out, ride safe.